Hello and welcome to the All About Angling Fishing podcast. Luckily, I've got a guest with me today, founder of Brew House Baits, Craig MacDonald. Craig, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, cheers, Dan. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you, mate. The last one, I was on my own. It sounded a bit awkward, you know what I mean? When you're talking to yourself for 10 minutes, it's a bit, yeah.
Yeah, I often do that. Don't worry, mate. I still don't feel awkward.
You're joining us from the silo today, which is obviously Brew House headquarters, if you like.
Yeah,
how you getting on, mate? What's been going on?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a ride, to be honest. Yeah, one that I've thoroughly enjoyed. Sort of moved out of my kitchen in March. 3 days before lockdown, ended up in the silo, and yeah, it's been my little man cave ever since.
Fair play to you, mate. Fair play to you. So, how did all this start with Brew House? Then, did you just wake up one day and think, "I'm going to roll some bait," or have you been doing it for years and years? How did it all come about?
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of them things. I never really found a bait I felt comfortable with. You know, there's some good baits on the market, and whether you want to pay sort of £13-14 a kilo for that bait, it just wasn't for me. You know, coming from a chefing background, right from a young age, I learned how to put a few ingredients together and do something which is, completely nutritional for the fish, something a little bit different. And I just like that approach, really. So sitting in my bivvy one day, just rolling up my baits on the bank, boiling them in the bank as well. And a few people come up to me and had a look and said, "What are you doing?" And so I explained what was going on, how I made them, and showed them some of the results, to which they were like, yeah, that's an interesting one. So I literally just took it from there, and following a few more conversations with some breweries, and yeah, just doing loads and loads of testing. The last 4 years have been really interesting, and I found that the more people heard about it, the more people that wanted some of my bait rolled, even if it was just something different to put in with their current baits.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the whole concept of using the brewer's, ingredients. How did that come into it? So obviously, most people will buy, a base mix from whoever. But obviously, you make all yours from scratch. But how did the brew house element really come into it?
Well, it's no given secret that, the brewing ingredients, you go to British Aqua Feeds or one of the other big suppliers, and they sell brewing yeast. It started from there, really. I used to go up to the breweries and ask them if I could buy some of their yeast directly. I found that it was a lot cheaper that way, and it worked in my favour for the baits. The more I sort of played around with the bait and the more I got used to the breweries, I found different elements of the brewery in which I can use. And that's where we sort of looked at developing certain different products, which go into the bait. But not only that, we also developed some hydro liquids as well. So hydro fish meals, and that was all in support of the breweries as well.
Right, no, fantastic. So obviously you were doing it all at home in the kitchen. I bet the missus absolutely loved you, didn't she?
Yeah, we've nearly divorced quite a few times, actually.
I'm not surprised.
But no, she's been a legend, really. She comes from a chefing background as well. So yeah, it's been interesting. She's been pushing me along and giving me some advice and bits and bobs. She's a fantastic cake maker. So throwing ingredients together and making pretty colours, that was her bag, really. And yeah, it's just come a long, long way since sort of hand rolling in the kitchen.
No, fantastic. At least you got that support network at home as well. It's quite nice that, you got someone behind you as well. They do say it though, don't they? Behind every great man is an even greater woman. So, fair play.
Yeah. If I don't say that, I'll probably end up on the fence. But no, she's a nurse as well, so I'm happy with that.
Fantastic. So obviously, as you just mentioned, you are in the silo now. It's quite a big old unit, just your little old self in there, isn't it? I mean, how did you come to get the silo?
It's an interesting story, really. I mean, obviously, 2 weeks before lockdown, I was sitting in a marketing class. I mean, going into business isn't really my forte, being a full-time EMT. Yeah, sort of leading up to that, I had a few family problems, which I was really struggling to deal with. Probably won't get onto that one today, but it's one of them situations, being in the right place at the right time. Very much the right person at the time. Yeah, I mean, it all sort of stems from the story of when I got the equipment, really. Yeah, sitting in a class, saw the equipment come up for sale down in Plymouth, your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was it really. Sort of went down, picked up this equipment, got mugged off by some gypsies on the way back in a garage.
Oh,
That wasn't very fun.
no, I can
Got
imagine.
back and I was really paranoid about what was going on because COVID was just about to hit. So as a result of sort of COVID hitting, there was a lot of people running around worried. Popped up to the local business park to see if they had any units available, in which he did. And I said, well, just hang fire. Let me just go and have a look at one more place. So on my way to the co-op to go and get some ordinary beers after my long journey back, I stopped at the silo where I saw Toby, who I'd met previously, who actually owns the building, and a really nice bread and breakfast across the road. And I said to him, have you got any space upstairs? And he said, well, I might have actually. So off I popped, had a good look around, showed me the whole building, and I sold him my story. And he said because of the ethics of it and the whole, because the silo is actually built and sort of what's happening with Toby's business is that he's all into his renewable energies. So anything to do with upcycling, anything to do with, being more friendlier to the earth, he's all over it. And then obviously the story behind Brew House and the way that we re-engineer brewers' waste to make our products. And now we're in an eco-friendly factory, which is run on solar wind. And
Can't get any better than that, mate, can you? Can't get any better than that. No. Obviously, I've not had a chance to come up and see you due to the lockdown situation, but I'm very much looking forward to having a little look round. So, what sort of capacity are you in up there now? How many sort of boilies can you roll on an average day now?
Oof. Yeah, so when I initially bought my initial machines, it was that was going to be me for the first 6-7 months. I had no idea how much this would take off, but the general public, my locals, people browsing the web, really impressed by the difference that our boilies are looking, and they want to try it. They want to try something new. I think the industry's just been waiting for something new. So as a result of that, we went from rolling sort of 100 kilos every couple of days to maybe 150 kilos every day.
Wow, that's quite.
Sorry, that's 100 kilos every week to 150 kilos every day.
That's quite a number, isn't it? Really, that's quite a number. And you do it all by yourself as well, didn't you, for the most part?
Mostly, yes, but I do have some help.
Yeah, good. Well, I think you need it, mate, to be fair.
I really do. But yeah, when the volunteers are here, we really can sort of pack a punch. We've now got 2 machines now running off Boilie Lab Pro and Boilie Design. Right. So still very manual. Nothing's automated at this point. So yeah, it really is sort of hands-on.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, how you've touched a little on it before. You are an EMT as well, full time. You're a family man. How do you find the time to be doing this as well?
Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, I'm not at work at the moment. I went back during COVID to help out my colleagues, and unfortunately, we had a bit of a scare with my son just before lockdown. Yeah. Unfortunately, he went into respiratory arrest.
Right. Yeah.
Where I had to work on him in my bathroom. So I was actually signed off with stress and trying to get my family back on track. Yeah. And I found that the silo sort of allowed us to do that. Really, it was, father-son time. We've literally built everything by hand, but he's painted things for me. He's really hard grafter, and I just feel fortunate that he's still with me. So after going back to work, I spoke to my boss and said, look, I need to get things back on track. They then signed me off, and yeah, we're back in here with a plan for sort of employing people and me going back to work.
Oh, good stuff, mate. So it really has taken off, hasn't it, during lockdown? A lot of people would think that sort of launching a business at this sort of time would be, a non-starter, really, wouldn't you? But you seem to be having quite a decent amount of success, it has to be said.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. It's obviously it's sort of word of mouth. I've not really done any advertising yet, and yeah, I just think the industry's been looking for something new, something a bit different. You've got your big bait companies all supplying really good baits. One thing I'm never going to say is that my bait is the best on the market, but I'll tell you what it is. It's something which has been handcrafted. It's something which I know every single boilie has very high standards of ingredients in, and I think once people see that high standard, they can see actually a boilie can be made cheaper, and it's not because of any less ingredients. Because we engineer everything in-house and we do all of our own mixing, our eggs come from a free-range farm where otherwise they'll be going in the bin. And, you know, it's one of them, all these little things that add up to a saving for our customer. And when you see the quality of the baits, I mean, obviously you've seen them, Dan, but, you know, talking to anybody who's watching really, it's just something different, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, no, go on, mate. Sorry, I'm cutting in there.
No, that's all right. No, one thing that obviously we're trying to do, you know, we're just trying to make the boilies look different. Okay, everybody's used to a perfectly round boilie, you know, a perfect glistening colour. We managed to keep our costs down because we like odd shapes. Okay, there's no point being perfect in an imperfect world. One of our biggest mantras, it's one of mine, always has been. You know, if I can roll boilies that don't look like the rest, I'm very, very pleased and happy with that. We've got something for everybody.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Like you say, obviously I'm lucky enough to be one of your testers on the team sort of thing. And everyone that I've shown your bait to, not that I've been fishing much since lockdown's been finished, I must admit. But Josh, who's, you know, one of the guys that I go with quite regular, seriously impressed with them. They are really, really good quality stuff. You know, I think there's a big future for you in it. Like you say, they're not the perfectly looking, you know, little things, but they work. You know, and they do look good, and you can tell that you're so passionate about it as well. Obviously, I get, you know, I've got the benefit of knowing you, whereas a lot of people won't. But I know that how much you've put into it, and so on and so forth. And I think it's going to really take off for you, mate. I really do, and I hope it does as well.
Yeah, well, like I say, I've sort of got to this stage through help from guys like yourself. You know, being on the team. I think we're up to 40 team members now.
Yeah.
You know, we're really, really pushing along with the team members. We can't accept everybody that applies, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, we've still got a really good product for you guys. You know, if it's a case of wanting to be on the team, use the product. You know, these guys all used my product and then came to me and says, Craig, are you looking for people to test the rest of your product range? That's what we're looking for, you know. And during the course of the next couple of years, we're looking to grow it quite substantially to around 100 team members. There's some massive things going on behind the scenes with regards to silo angling as well. Just a little plug. And I just wanted you to know that, you know, we're not looking for people just to buy cheap bait. We're looking for people that can bring genuine support for the business and the brand. And with that, we'll repay you with things like socials, new bait to try. You know, it's one of them things that, you know, if you said, Craig, try this, I'll talk to you about it. Let's have a little play. You know, I'm not going to be stuck in my boots and say, no, we can't do that because we're too busy. That's not what we're about. We won't be about.
Absolutely. So obviously you've got a bit of a range out already. Do you want to just touch on what you've got out there at the moment? What's available for sale to the public?
Absolutely. So general public wise, we're going to have 5 core baits in the range. We've got 3 others that are in test at the moment, and they're going to be staying in test until the winter. And then once the winter comes about, it's a case of then rolling them out. At the moment, we're only rolling with our fresh freezer baits, and that's simply because our baits are so alive with all the different yeasts, with all of the different active ingredients that naturally come out of our baseline product. Moving forward, we will be doing shelf life. Again, they're going to be tested over the summer with a view for launching them again for the winter period. We've got 5 main core flavours at the moment. So we have a coconut whiskey cell, which is cell-based ingredients which contain coconut. Also contains a enzyme of liver, and also our very special ingredient, which I can't tell you. We've also got coconut, obviously, in there, and we also use the wort from a whiskey beer, and we also put whiskey in the flavouring as well.
Wow.
Very, very particularly, and it's got lots of different things in it, which will sure get this fish going. The other one we do is a glazed bacon and maple, the GBM. Again, just came about because I used to use bacon in my fishing all the time. Bacon, you know, luncheon meat, all the rest of it. This is a really good all-rounder. I really wanted this one for the pleasure anglers, the ones that like going out catching a nice big perch. The ones going out, it catches carp. caught a pike as well.
Oh, really?
They just love. I don't really get the pike one. Maybe the pike was after the perch. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we've had lots of fun developing the GBM, the glazed bacon and maple. It's got lots of little extras in there, including a secret spice blend,
Nice.
which absolutely smells gorgeous. So again, baits that are not going to stink your house out nastily, I think, is one of the crucial ones there.
Absolutely.
Then we move on to the really stinky ones. So we've got the KHC, which is the krill, halibut, and crab. And again, we use fermented krill tail, which is then blitzed up with other enzyme and liver hydrosite. And the liver is really where it's at with that one. Naturally sort of high in protein, but also really good leakage of iron as well. It's a really good predator bait. So it's had catfish up to, I think the biggest we've had is 74 pounds. And we've also had anglers who have been on sessions and have caught over 600 pounds of catfish as well on more than 4 occasions, I believe. But again, we're just withholding a little bit of that because every time I seem to post about people's catches, we end up getting really, really busy. And I'm busy at the moment. I'm just trying to keep up with what's going on. And then you've got the Triple X, which is like a hybrid. So it's got a nice classic tomato, spicy prawn, lamprey. We also put a little bit of Mediterranean shellfish in there as well, mixed in with a bit of harissa spice. Really, really nice bait. So our take on a spicy prawn bait, if you like. Yeah. And then we've got the nut job, which may or may not get me into a copyright frenzy. I'm not too sure. Yeah. We'll have to talk to them about it. But, you know, the nut job or the hashtag nut job, if we need to change it, guys, it'll be called the Reaper's Nuts. I've changed the rest of the branding, including one of the glugs. So the Reaper's Nuts is probably what we're going to be going with, just to give you a heads up. But the nut job was my very first bait. I used to get really, really tired of turning up to lakes and not being able to use tiger nuts. So I developed my own nut job boilie, which didn't contain tiger nuts per se. However, I found a really good tiger nut liquid, mixed in with a bit of peanut meal, popped corn, maize, starch, which all binds that all together. And then that mixes in with a really nice nutty fish meal, which I've got hold of. There's so much going on inside this bait. And again, seeing is just believing. I must put a warning on that though. It's not called the Reaper's Nuts for no reason. It is a very, very spicy bait. And my recommendation is to wear gloves because this will burn your socks off.
Oh dear.
So they're the 5. And we're going to be following with them in shelf life forms, fresh freezer baits, with a view for adding more to the list later on in the year.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. And obviously, you just touched on it a little bit there, but silo angling, what's going on with that? Can you tell us anything about that at the moment?
I can only tell you a little tiny fraction about it.
Go on, tease us.
But in a nutshell, what we're looking at doing is 100% UK manufactured fishing tackle by the end of 2025.
Fantastic. Sounds good, mate. Sounds good. So what is your end goal with Brew House Baits? Did you just set it up for a bit of fun, or obviously, you know, what
I have no idea how
on?
much it was. No. Well, I'm just sort of taking each day as it comes, really. Really enjoying meeting new people, new anglers. My team are really, really vast in their experience. You know, we're all about encouraging anglers to get into something. You know, everybody loves this sport. There's too many people out there who call themselves anglers, but, you know, an angler in my eyes is somebody who can help. You know, somebody who can push people along. And I really did it for the social benefits, if I'm absolutely honest. When I first started this up, I just wanted to meet a few like-minded people like me who's interested in something different, try out some different lakes with some new different approaches and just work together and gel, really. You know, it's quite a lonely world when you work on an ambulance. So it's even lonelier when you're on the bank and you've got no one you can talk to. I'm sure people can relate. Fortunately, we have got like 40 people that I'll be proud to say, you know, they're my friends. And we've got bigger, better things coming with regards to the socials that we're going to be putting on. But ultimately, no. I mean, Brew House is ticking along nicely in the background. It's just one of them things where we'll see where it goes. You know, as long as I'm still enjoying making the bait and the people that are having them are still enjoying using them and it's catching good fish, You know, that's what it's all about for me. You know, it's like sending my kids out to school for the first time on their first day. Whenever I got a new customer, I just hope it does the job for them. I know it's a good bait, and I know how important it is to sit behind your rods knowing that whatever's on the deck is going to catch me a fish. It's just a case of them turning up.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Right. So that's the shop talk for now. We need to talk about your own fishing now, I reckon. Do you actually get a chance to go with everything else that goes on, running Brew House, you know, working full time, family life? Do you actually get a chance to go out on the bank or not?
Not as much as I'd like to, but I guess that's the same as everybody else.
Everyone could say that, mate. Yeah, absolutely everyone could say that.
Exactly. But no, what I found is that, because I'm so busy up at Silo, I went and had a quick afternoon with the kids, just down at one of my local runs water. So just, you know, surface fishing with the kids.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of angling I'm trying to do at the minute, you know, trying to get my kids involved more, and just enjoying myself. You know, it's one of them things where we've just had our social, where we went to East Delph, which was 2 nights, 3 days. And it was just a really good chance for myself and the lads just to get together, get to know each other a bit better, and just have a really good few days. The weather, unfortunately, with the pressure, it was not very good fishing. It was bloody hot. So we drank lots of beer instead.
There's nothing wrong with that. You've got to stay hydrated, haven't you? That's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm like everybody else. You know, I'm just working as hard as I possibly can. And to be honest with you, it's as good as going fishing. When I see the reports coming in from the banks, from my customers, from you guys, you know, the live feeds that you guys send me all the time when you've caught a stonking fish, it's what makes my day, you know. And that's you know, it's why I do it, really.
Yeah, it must be quite a bit of pride there if you know someone's caught a PB on one of your baits. That must be quite impressive, actually. It must be quite a feeling.
Oh, massively. You know, especially when the lads go out to France.
Oh,
And every new fish is a PB, and it's just like Craig. Like, trying to sleep. It's 3 a.m. But you know, if it was the case that it's my local lake and they called me, then I'll be straight down there to go and see what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how did it all start for you, though? How did you actually get into fishing in the first place? Obviously, you're up in Norfolk, aren't you? A lot of waterways up there, I think it's safe to say. So was it just the case that you happened to live near the water and thought, I'll have a go, or how did you get into it?
Well, I got into fishing when I was young, like a lot of people. You know, it was very much, it's nothing like it is today, you know. I used to sellotape my rods to my push bike. I used to bungee cord my tackle box, which was the size of a toolbox, underneath it, pedaling along with my legs out like that, about 3 miles to my local lake. You know, I used to sit down there in all weathers, my little brolly, never had a deck chair or anything. I used to use my bucket. And then we discovered night fishing, and that's when I caught my first carp. It wasn't anything massive, but, you know, it was pure accident. We used to call it ledgering in them days. So, sent out a ledger on what must have been an absolutely disgraceful looking rig. But, that produced me my first carp. If I remember rightly, I was on a size 10 on a hair rig, and I was using a bit of sweet corn from a bait then.
Wow, how times have changed, didn't they? I was only thinking this the other day when I first started fishing. It was very, very, very simple tackle. It was all stuff from Argos, you know, like real cheap rod and reel, cheap float set. And I remember the first carp that I ever caught. It was just like I thought it was going to pull me in. I was probably only 10 at the time.
Yeah, I think I was 11. I remember the same feeling.
As soon as you catch one, you think, Christ, it was a game changer, and it sort of sticks with you, doesn't it? I mean, I'd caught tench and all sorts of other stuff up until that point. But that first carp, I think, has stuck with me ever since. You know, you always remember it. I don't think you'll ever forget. And
definitely.
You know, I'm trying to get my kids into it. Much the same. My daughter's only 4, and not caught her one yet, but I think plenty of time left to get that sorted.
Of course there is. There is.
So, method-wise, when you approach a new water, what do? Do you just very much treat it as every water's a different challenge, or do you go in with the same tactics every time and hope they work?
Well, this is it. I mean, we're all learning, aren't we? That's the thing. You know, every time you turn up to a new water, it's all about looking at the watercraft, you know, weather, first thing, you know, look at the pressure, be ready to fish the depths. If the pressure's going to be up, you need to be ready to fish the depths. You know, that's one thing that I'm still trying to get more confident on is fishing zigs. You know, I've caught 2 fish on zigs, and nothing massive, but they're 2 fish that I probably wouldn't have caught if I stayed on the bottom. So I
Yeah.
think my biggest thing is just understanding what the weather's doing. You know, look at the barometric pressure, look at the wind direction, look at the temperature. You know, is it going to rain? Because that's another big aspect. You know, they say, I'm not going, you know, you got blistering sunshine. That's probably perfect conditions for some anglers. But
Yeah.
yeah, I like a little bit of rain and a thunderstorm. So when I turn up to a lake, I mean, there's really two types of angling that I do. I mean, if I'm doing like quick, I don't want to say quick overnight, but if I've just made a decision I'm going fishing, quickly bung all the stuff in the car, I'll have a little troll around the lake. If it's busy, I'll probably find another lake. And then, you know, so for me, it's all about the sort of peace and quiet.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if I see fish outside of the lake where no one's fishing, I will set up there as well. So it's all about looking for the signs. I remember once I went fishing for a 3-day session, and I just spent probably about 6-7 hours just watching the lake. Never fished it before. Walked around, went up trees, had a little look. Just looked for any sign. I think it was sort of the end of autumn coming into winter, so it's just them sort of telltale signs, looking for the sort of dead lily pads and all that sort of stuff, where I knew that, you know, there's going to be a lot of sort of naturals. And yeah, I think my biggest approach tactic would be find a fish and fish for them. You know, ultimately, if you on a big pit and you've got all your stuff out the car, you're probably going to be less inclined to go for a little walk. But if it's safe enough, leave your gear in the car, go for a walk, take your Polaroids, take a little bag of bait, just chuck a little bit in, and then reverse back round and look at your spots again and see if there's any fishing.
Yeah, absolutely. You like you say, you got to fish to where the fish are, haven't you? I think some of my best sessions have been a case of watching and casting to showing fish, and quite often you'll get a bite relatively quickly. I've found anyway, as opposed to sort of baiting and waiting, as I would call it, where you just chuck loads of bait out there and hope they come to you. Doesn't always work that well, does it? I mean, you can have success that way, and I have had success that way, but I think you need to fish where they are, because if they're not there, you're never going to catch them. And same with zigs. I can't get my head around zigs. Don't know why, but I'm always worried that they're tangled. I don't know what it is about them, but they sort of scare me a little bit, I have to say. I'm never really used them, but I think I'm going to have to start, because like you say,
yeah,
they
it's one
can
of
be
them things,
deadly.
confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll get there in the end. But
yeah, of course you will. I mean, I've got to say the adjustable zig that's out at the moment.
yeah, I've been looking at that. I have to say the Corda one.
It is the Corda one.
Yeah.
However, what we worked out is that it's basically just a marker float
I'm sure
with
it
a
is.
rig on the end. So, you know, you could just use, you know, save yourself a bobble too, guys, and just use one of the little floater bubbles in there. Does exactly the same job. All you got to do is adapt it, and that'll work.
No, absolutely. Right, last little thing on your own fishing. Have you got a bucket list? Is there one thing, if you could pick one last fishing trip, what would it be and why?
Oh, so I've got a real big thing for America.
Yeah.
And I really want to go over there. And there's a certain species called an alligator gar.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, alligator gar are just so prehistoric. And I've seen a couple of anglers reeling them in, or not so much, but just the whole hunting side of it, you know, going up and down the river on a boat, finding signs for alligator gar and then fishing for them. I don't think I'd be able to contain myself. I mean, people say about going fishing for sharks and all that sort of stuff, but alligator gar, they're basically dinosaurs. So
they are some fish, aren't they?
Massively. But then, you know, if I was to catch a PB perch, I'll be happy. Which currently sits just under yours, actually, Dan.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that perch, I've gutted. I didn't get any decent pictures of that. As for those of you who don't know, I caught a £4 perch just after lockdown and couldn't actually contain myself. It was, I don't know what it is about perch. You get a big one, it's something else, isn't it? I don't know why. I get really excited about big perch. Nothing else.
Massively.
You know, I don't know what it is, but they proper get you. But yeah, funny you should mention America. Actually, I've just lined up a chap to come on the podcast. Mark Jackson. He's based over in Philadelphia, and he targets carp. You might have even seen some of his videos on Facebook. They do sort of creep around. Because obviously, for some reason, carp fishing in America doesn't ever seem to have really taken off, does it? They seem to be.
I think it's starting to now. I think a lot of what you see on social media, you know, it's one of them things where the American culture for fish is obviously catch a fish, eat it.
Yeah.
But then again, that's really what it's been for humans for years and years and years.
Yeah.
You know, sport fish over in America, they're more interested in the big bass.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
but you know, the buffalo carp over there, and even like, you know, the normal species, you know, the commons, the mirrors, they're all
Yeah.
sitting pretty around sort of 15 to 30 pound, and
Yeah.
they're not fished for. You know, and
No.
I remember watching on YouTube when what was it, Ali Hamady and all of that, Tom Dove.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
went over there and they fished for buffalo, and that looked like
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good
It's
fun.
unreal. It's just weird to think, isn't it? You know, a lot of those carp have probably never seen a boilie in their life. Wouldn't know what one is. I mean, that must be quite difficult for a European angler to go to the States and target carp
Mm.
using European sort of tactics. You know, a carp's a carp, isn't it? Surely that you could chuck a few spoms full of boilie out there. Would you catch them on that, do you think, if they've never seen it before?
I think it's all to do with the bait, really. If you've got the right stuff, putting out the right signals in the bait, you know, carp are attracted to all different kinds of things. They're very, very, what's the word? They love to look for new things, new types of foods. They always try it. You know, the whole concept behind a blowback rig is so that you know if you've been done or not on your bait.
Yeah, yeah.
Because carp very much, you know, so when the bait's been ejected, the blowback side of it gets stuck in the bottom lip. However, if it doesn't go as far as that, then you know that you've been done. So, you know, but, you know, carp are really, really, really curious animals, and they will try most things once. And I think the
Yeah.
good thing about boilies and dumbbells and, you know, things like tiger nuts, they just go in so easily, you know,
Yeah.
that the big mouths just hoover up whatever's in front of them. So, you know, I think boilies would be a big thing out there. I know a lot of anglers who fish for them, but they fish for them with things like sweet corn
Yeah.
mainly, which is classic to how we used to fish for them back in the day.
Yeah, that's it. They sort of seem like they're 20 years behind us, don't they, really, carp wise? They don't seem
Mm-hmm.
to sort of adopt the same tactics that we do. But like you say, I think with the internet the way it is, YouTube and so on and so forth, it only takes these guys to pick up on what we're doing. I don't think it'll be long before it's over there, you know. But you
No,
see it,
it's not.
the fish care aspect over there is quite a lot different as well. They don't really seem to know what an unhooking mat is, I've noticed. But obviously, that's a different story for another day, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, but like I say, I've got Mark joining me quite soon, so it'll be interesting to see how his tactics sort of differ from ours, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but for now, mate, I think that's about it. I think we've covered all
Mm-hmm.
bases there. Do you want to tell us what you got coming up, what we can look forward to?
Yeah, so basically, this is our new packaging. Finally, all taking the plunge and everything sort of coming to shape. So you might be seeing some of these in the shops, but these will be available on the orders as well. And then we've got, so what's in here actually? You've got 500 mils of that. So this is our hydro liquid, and this is designed to stabilize and add more attraction to your bait. There's proper fish meal in here. Each one has a different base ingredient to it. So each one will not smell or taste the same for the carp. So it gives you a variety of flavors to add to your current boilie mixes. You've got our bait smoke. This is the dragon smoke. And again, something that you've probably seen from Corda with their goose and everything. We've done it slightly different, and it's adapted to do the same job. And then you've got our wafter range, which are in these nice little tins. And again, trying to do something a bit different and keep the shapes a little bit odd. I don't know about you guys, but I like to chop mine off and make them into funny shapes anyway. So we've done half of that job for you and added some bits of particle in there as well. And then it's all about colours, really. Obviously, looking at what's in fashion and what's not. Underwater footage shows that purples and whites seem to do the best. And again, it's just one of them things where we're testing all of these, and they've been thoroughly tested, and they'll be releasing in the next couple of weeks. And then you've got our boilies. So the freezer range, packed in 1.5 kilo bags. We offer in 1.5 kilo, 2.5 kilo, 5 litre session packs, and available to order in 5 kilo and 10 kilo as well. You will get one of our bespoke freezer bags in there as well. So you can just literally take out the bag when you're on the bank, hang it on your bivvy, and dry them out while you're setting up, or you can do it the night before. Once they are dried and they are ready for stabilization, if you whack this onto it a couple of days beforehand, let that soak in. That'll last in your bucket for up to 6 months.
6 months, eh? That's quite a lot of time. I mean, I opened a bait bucket, had been in there for probably a year. It was awful, Craig. I don't know what was it. Not your bait, I must add. But I'll tell you what, mate, it was vile. The whole thing had to go. Yeah, I don't know what. I don't even know it was in there. It was just awful. But
Ours
these
won't
things
do
happen.
that.
No, good. That is good to know. Well, unfortunately, guys, we actually lost Craig towards the end of that episode there, unfortunately. A little bit of a technical hitch. But all that was left to be said, really, was if you want to find out some more about Brew House Baits, head over to brewhousebaits.com or head over to Facebook, Instagram, all the usual social media outlets, and you'll be able to find out more from there. Until next time, guys, stay safe, and we'll be seeing you soon.